Metallic Minerals is a precious and base metal focused exploration and development company with key assets in North America. Really three key assets. Our first key asset is our Plata Project in southwest Colorado, which is an alkaline porphyry system consisting of copper, silver, gold, and platinum and palladium. Our second key asset is our Keno Silver project in the north central part of the Yukon territories, where we're exploring for silver, lead, zinc, and have a pending inaugural resource ready for that project to be announced here before the end of the year. And our third key asset is our alluvial royalty portfolio, where we're working with Gold Rush TV star Parker Schnabel of Little Flake Mining, where he has optioned some of our ground and has begun producing gold from these alluvial placer deposits in the Yukon as of August, and so we're beginning to see royalties back from that production now. Yeah, Keno Silver project, we'll start there. Again, it's north central part of the Yukon territories, and we're exploring for silver, lead, and zinc. We've had the project since 2016. We're really excited about the fact that our next door neighbors are Hecla Mining, which is the third largest primary silver producer in the world in terms of silver production. And as a brownfield neighbor, they acquired Alexico Resources in September of last year. They're working on restarting production and look to be at full production by the end of this year, which is roughly 5 million ounces. Very high grade deposit. For our part, earlier stage exploration, we're working to develop resources that could be eventually potential mill feed for that project. We're also finding bulk mineable deposits of lower grade material that are more amenable to open pit mining techniques, which could be lower development costs. So there are a lot of things happening in the district. With our inaugural resource, we expect that to be a catalyst moving forward. And again, that'll be announced before the end of the year this year. Our La Plata project in southwest Colorado is really our flagship project right now. It's an alkalic porphyry, copper, silver, gold, platinum, palladium project that we acquired in 2019 from some astute investors who had picked it up in 2002 from Freeport-McMoRan. If we look back at the history of the district, copper or silver, gold, and telluride minerals were found in narrow veins by the Spanish explorers in the late 1700s. Small mine operators operated high-grade mines on those vein systems from 1850 through the 1940s. Those mines were shut down in the 40s. Copper was discovered in the district in the 1950s by Rio Tinto and Phelps Dodge and other companies that work the district. Because of market conditions and the warehousing of these projects by some of the bigger companies, fractured land position, a lot of those companies disappeared from the district nearly 50 years ago. And so here we are in a porphyry district with these elements that look very attractive to us that hasn't been explored for 50 years. Here we are, come in 2019, we do some confirmatory work on the historic resource. We drill a fresh hole to follow up on that last summer that drilled 816 meters of continuous mineralization and really caught the market unaware, really. And so we're continuing to get our information out and show that we've got something here very interesting. But what did get caught when we announced the results of that hole, which were 2204 in February of this year, all the majors lined up to see what it was. We were able to parlay that into an agreement with Newcrest Mining, which we signed in May, and we're using the money that's come from this strategic investment, $6.3 million from Newcrest, to drill on the project now to follow up that high-grade intercept that we had from last year. So, inaugural resource, Keno Silver project, continued drilling on high-grade discovery last year, and the recent resource update that shows 1.3 billion pounds of copper in the deposit that we fully see as scalable to multi-billion pound resource in the near future. Yeah, the Newcrest deal came about really because of this follow-up in 2022 of the inaugural resource announcement on the project. of nearly 1 billion pounds. The follow-up drilling, hole 2204, we just drilled 2 holes in 2022, but the one hole, again, was one of the better holes in the copper space in North America in the last several years. It was 816 meters of continuous mineralization that went 0.41% copper equivalent recovered, with high grade at the end of that hole, over 30 meters of 1.5% copper equivalent, with the last sample actually running 11% copper equivalent, 5% copper, 5 grams platinum, 5 grams palladium, multi-grams gold, 47 grams of silver. So really high grade at the end of the hole that was stopped because of technical limitations. So we're taking that news, and again, that interaction at PDAC with all the majors. Newcrest stepped to the front of the line because of their rapid recognition of these types of systems that they're quite familiar with, given their work at Red Chris and Cadia Ridgeway in Australia that are analogs to the La Plata Project here in Colorado. So we've been able to take the investment, which was $6.3 million, 9.5% equity investment in our company. It comes attached with warrants. There are 3 years worth of warrants for another $6.5 million at a 55% share price. That as long as we're successful and Newcrest and Newmont see value in moving forward, then we'll have that opportunity to have a follow-up drill program with a greater investment. But right now we're using that initial investment to drill deep holes to offset that high-grade mineralization in the search for something around 50 to 150 million tons of a percent copper equivalent grade. Yeah, so our Alluvial Gold royalty portfolio is actually, we're the 3rd largest alluvial claim holder in the Yukon territories. And as a result of that, we've got a very big package of ground in the historic Klondike district, upstream from the very productive Indian River drainage, which was the largest producer of gold in the Klondike district historically. Parker Schnabel of Little Flake Mining and the TV show Gold Rush on the Discovery Channel was in the Indian River, and as of last season ran out of ground. And he valued the upstream continuation of this ground, which is Australia Creek, as potentially virgin ground. It was held in reserve for power and water to power the dredges downstream in the Indian River drainage. So it was never mined before. And so he took the advantage. We signed an agreement with him in January for him to take these claims and move just upstream onto our ground. And he initiated production after a slow spring because of flooding and heavy rains in August. And we're now seeing the benefits of his production through royalty submissions as his work continues. Yeah, so at our La Plata project, we started drilling in early August, and we've got a plan for 5,000 meters to be drilled. They're deep holes, so that is 4 to 5 holes in total, and they're deep holes to offset the high-grade hit that came from last year, hole 2204, with 816 meters of continuous mineralization. So we're testing high-grade offsets at 100 to 150 to 200 meter spacing away from the bottom of that hole, and we've got 2 holes completed. To date, we're seeing similar porphyry style of intrusions and similar vein densities and similar sulfide percentages to the hole that was drilled last year. So we're quite pleased about the way things look there. And we expect to, we're in progress on the second hole. We'll finish that. It's at 1,100 meters. So hopefully we're seeing this continuous mineralization from surface. It'll be a bigger interval than we had from last year's drilling. And then we'll follow that up with additional 2 holes. And that'll be it for our La Plata project this year, along with some hyperspectral surveys. At Keno, we're just initiating a small, modest program to do expansion of drilling, or expansion of our resource-ready targets, where we're on the verge of announcing our inaugural resource for the project here within the next several months. In terms of catalysts for metallic minerals, the three things that really stand out right now is the idea of our inaugural resource at our Keno Silver project, the possibility of a new royalty agreements on our alluvial claims in the near term, and then an update on our 2023 drill program at La Plata, which will be followed by initial results from that drilling sometime in the fall into early winter. Well, I think the key thing, if you're a retail investor, is to look at the quality of our assets, really a world-class alkaline porphyry system, which are typically the drivers, the economic drivers of many of these big companies because they have long mine lives. I think quality of the assets, quality of the management team, and it's a team between myself and our CEO, Greg Johnson, where we have a lot of experience not only in these types of deposits, but recognizing value and building value by de-risking these operations. But the third thing is to really look at the market and realize that we're undervalued at a $50 or $65 million market cap price right now. For the quality of our assets, it's a good time to be getting involved and going along for the ride as we continue to develop new resources and make new discoveries and advance these projects as we go.